My name's Tom Wood. I currently work for Camden Hire. So I started there when I was casual growing up in high school, started in the wash bay. From there, it was just a weekend / holiday sort of a job. And as I sort of got older, I took on sort of different responsibilities on the weekends and in holidays. Did a little bit of everything, I suppose, at the company. By the time I graduated in year 12, I went and did something else, and then I came back quite soon after that, and I've been there nearly, a bit over 3 years. I've been full-time at Camden Hire now. Having grown up in Camden, they're just a super reputable, recognised, well-respected business in our local area. The name obviously matches where I came from, so they're super well known. The family, Mike and Mark Scarce, they're again well respected, and Camden being quite a small town, still everyone sort of knows everyone. And so there were plenty of little connections where I knew the family, but my dad actually worked at Camden Hire before I was born.
Wow.
And so there was 20 years before, or sort of 15 years before I'd even been looking for a job, Dad had worked there on the weekends as well while he's studying, and knew they were just a really, really good family to work for. He enjoyed the work he did, he got exposure to lots of different things. And sort of when I was 14 and a half, 15, they sort of said, well, would you maybe throw your resume in and have a chat and see what happens? Literally started in the wash bay. I was cleaning up equipment when it came back. I'd serve customers, show them how to use a chainsaw to start their mower, and then I'd receive it on the other end when it was returned, check it all over, and just give a slip in to the guys in the office who'd tidy it all up. And that was the majority of what I did on weekends. From there, in school holiday times when I could commit a little bit of extra time during the weekdays, I did a lot of party hire as well. So installing marquees, hockers, dance floors, lots of chairs and tables, a lot of that during holidays. And then as I got older as well, I started to spend a bit of time at our access department. So just got a lot of exposure to that, which was really good. I'd just work with one of the other mechanics down there. There was no customers on the weekend at our access department, over the counter, so to speak. But it was just a good opportunity to learn about the equipment, learn how it operated, start to work out some of the names, what things we use for. And I suppose as a 15 or 16-year-old sort of kid, I looked at it and didn't really know what you would use any of it for anyway. So having that exposure there was really good, and it gave me. I was really, really lucky that I got a well-rounded sort of perception of each branch and what everything did before I'd even sort of finished high school. When I finished school, the plan was to go and do real estate. And so from there I went away and did that, and I eventually came back. But that was the early days of my Camden Hire story, and I suppose it was split up by, it'd only be a handful of weeks, I think, before I came back and really got into the full-time side of it. Looking back, I'd never even considered hire and rental being a career, and never really thought about it, taking it on. And at the time, you've got your blinders on and you think you know what you want and think you know where you're headed. And I wanted to get into real estate as an agent initially, and then the end goal was to do more property development side of things. So there was a bit of a sort of a framework there, but I did a couple of weeks of real estate, and didn't really enjoy it at all. And so I resigned from my real estate position, and then I was sort of jobless for a week, which is not a particularly long time to be jobless at 18. It was okay. I survived just fine. But I was at our local, Camden show, at our local agricultural show, just with a couple of mates, and I bumped into one of my old managers out of Mully, who is now the branch manager for our access department. And I'd built up quite a good relationship with him while I'd worked weekends, and I knew him and he knew me. And he sort of said, how's real estate going? I said, well, not particularly well, to be honest. I'm no longer doing it. I'm not sure where I'm headed next. And he said, well, have you ever considered working in the office at Camden Hire? And it was in that moment I thought, no, I actually hadn't at all. And so for the 3 or 4 years that I'd worked there previously, I'd never even considered any sense of career progression or any sense of development in the industry or at Camden Hire. And I sort of said, well, I haven't, but I'd be pretty keen to have a crack actually. And so from there, Adam was kind enough. He spoke to Mark Scarce, the owner, and we lined up a bit of a conversation, a bit of a chat, went in for a bit of an interview, and things just lined up and we went in from there. So I started on the desk as on the desk as a hire controller. Knowing what I know now and understanding the structure of the industry and understanding where people stand in their job roles and how they've actually come from where I started, and even the amount of people that I've learned over the years that started was with a gurney in their hand washing down equipment. I was listening to Adrian Manning, COO at Coates, doing just that. That's where he started and worked his way up. And it's having learnt that and having had that exposure that I'm now so much more aware of it and so much more excited by the opportunities. I'm super lucky that I'm passionate about it, and I love going to work every day. And I'm not only passionate about the equipment. I'm lucky that I'm naturally interested in the equipment we hire out and the services we provide and supplying to the construction and civil industries. I love all that sort of thing, so I'm lucky there. But I think what's really different about hire and rental is that the priority is always people, and from not even just from an employee side, but it's always about the customer. At the end of the day, you don't go home until you've met the customer's needs. And every other industry that you look around, a lot of it, that gets missed. And I know as a customer, when I go and either inquire on something or go to purchase something in other industries, you become, you're not the priority. And that is where I think hire and rental is incredibly different in the sense that the number one priority is people on both sides, inside your organisation, and ultimately, from a business perspective, your customer is your end goal.
Yeah.
And it's getting their needs met to the best of your ability with whatever resources you've got at your disposal, and making that happen. I think that's really special as well. I didn't recognise that for whatever myriad of reasons, I wasn't able to recognise that Camden Hire or the hire industry largely was an opportunity and was an option for me full time as a career. And I think not overlooking, or I suppose directly to say to young Tom, don't underestimate or overlook what you might perceive as small opportunity, and that's a career thing, and that's a life thing as well, I suppose. But if potentially I'd recognise that Camden Hire and Hire was opportunity and there was long-term growth in it, and it wasn't that there wasn't, the growth is huge and the opportunity is just amazing. But it was just when I had my blinders on, if I'd taken them off and maybe taken that on a little earlier, I could have worked more, moved into the office a little bit earlier on weekends, taken on a little bit more responsibility, and learn a lot more quickly, So that'd probably be what it would be. Don't overlook opportunity, no matter how small you think it might be. The hire industry is like quite a beautiful, in some ways, narrative in the sense of the early days of the industry in Australia. There was this real sense of that everyone did everything. And no matter if it was your job or if you'd clocked off 2 minutes ago, if something has to be done, either one of your colleagues needs help, or a customer needs help, or there's something to be done, you just get in and get the job sorted. And that was what I really liked. I think moving from into the office is that I was always quickly throwing chains on a machine on a truck for someone, or quickly doing a delivery in a tilt tray. I'm really lucky that I've been able to do everything. I've gone temporary fencing. I've done plenty of that. I've delivered portaloos, plenty of site sheds, machines, but not so much that it's how great am I. It's that I had the opportunities to do them.
And you said yes.
And yeah, yes is the word. I'm not big on turning down stuff now. As I grew up, I went, you know what? If you say yes, chances are things are going to happen. But it's actually it's more so that the hire and rental industry and Camden Hire itself actually allowed me to learn those things and to do those things and to say yes to those. It's more so about the opportunities that I had. I would say it's not about me. It's more so what I was presented with that I feel really, really lucky for.